Hi everyone, welcome to Business in Canada Do It Right and me, Eugene Jakubov. Today I would like to speak about staffing agency operations in Ontario and the new rules for the licensing and regulation of staffing agencies that were introduced into the Employment Standards Act of Ontario on July 1st, 2023. So before I start talking about the rules and the licensing requirements, I would like to remind you about the difference between staffing and recruiting operations. And the difference is important because the law treats these two different operations differently. So recruiting is the situation where we help our clients to find their own employees who are being then employed by the client. There are no relationship between us and employees during the whole process except for referral for the interviews with the client. On the other side, staffing operations is the situation where we employ the employees and then refer them or assign, how the law uses the word, to the clients to perform the work. And today's presentation, although is dedicated for the staffing operations, mostly relevant for both types. I probably will put a short video separately for the recruitment, but the rules, the requirements, and the processes are identical for two types of operations. So is there a license requirement in Ontario as of now? And the straight answer is yes, maybe not right now, but the Employment Standards Act, the law that regulates staffing and recruiting operations, has been changed in July 2023, and it will come into effect gradually starting January 1st, 2024. But at the end of that process or transition period, the licensing and registration of staffing agencies will be mandatory in the province of Ontario. The deadlines for the registration, it's important to highlight because the original deadline was introduced as January 1st, 2024, but literally this week, the Ministry of Labor changed the deadline and extended it by additional 6 months. So as of right now, the deadline to submit your application is July 1st, 2024, but pay attention to the provisions of the transition rule and the dates that the rule mentions. So the way the transition rule is structured is that those businesses who applied before July 1st, 2024, meaning by June 30th, 2024, will be able to operate their businesses without a license for as long as the application has been submitted and is being reviewed by the Ministry of Labor. On the other side, those businesses that applied after July 1st or on July 1st, 2024 will not be allowed to operate their businesses until the application is being reviewed and approved by the ministry. Keep in mind that everyone expects a flood of applications within the next couple of months, so the process of approval might take time. And essentially, if you fail to submit before July 1st, 2024, you might end up being unable to operate your business for an extended period of time, which might not be a good idea for operating active businesses. So what are the requirements to register? The requirements are pretty straightforward. You have to provide your basic corporate business information, location, responsible officers, directors, number of employees, nothing special, nothing too complicated. You have to pay $750 of the registration fees to the government, and you have to submit the most painful point, $25,000 of irrevocable letter of credit with the Ministry of Labor. What is a revocable letter of credit? Is a special document that is being issued by your bank to the government that essentially allows the government to take money, all $25,000, a portion of them at any time. And the way that the regulations are structured is anytime that there's a claim by an employee or worker that those people were not paid their salaries over time, you charge them unlawful fees, the government will take money from the letter of credit. You will have to provide additional top up to the letter of credit in order to continue to operate and to keep your license in effect. So it is somewhat complicated process. You have to talk to a bank. Not all the banks will be happy to issue those letter of credits, but the only way to get it is from the local Canadian bank. I was expecting that the government will allow also to apply for a bond with insurance companies, but they decided to stay only with letter of credit. You will need to confirm your good standing status with the tax authorities, The process will be done through the same portal. I will talk about it in a moment. And of course, you have to keep your license and your corporate information up to date in order to operate in compliance with the law. So how do we register? The registration is done online only. There's no other option. The government will not accept paper forms. They do not exist technically. You have to register for a My Ontario account at the link on the screen. I will also provide the link in the description section below. And you have to submit all the documents through online portal. You have to obtain your letter of credit from the Canadian bank in a form of PDF file, which you then upload through the portal. And you have to verify your good standing with the tax authorities. They will essentially provide a login information through the portal. Through that login information, you will obtain a code or a confirmation number, which you then submit with the Ministry of Labor, and they validate it with the tax authorities. So if you did not file your taxes on time, if you still have some outstanding tax reporting, which means corporate income tax, all the employment-related remittances, reporting, T4s, whatever, and HST, do it before July 1st, 2024, in order to be able to obtain the good standing confirmation from the Ministry of Finance. What are the additional rules? So, as always, licensing do not apply to the businesses operating outsource of subcontractors, because subcontractors are not part of the Employment Standards Act, and therefore the rules do not apply. But keep in mind that under the Canadian laws, the transition of a subcontractor to the status of employee could be very fast and unexpected, because the Ministry of Labor, the tax authorities, WSAB, for that purpose, they do not care about what your agreements say or what you say about the status of that individual. They have their own tests based on which they determine the status of an employee, of a person as an employee or a subcontractor of your company. So if you need our assistance to review your documents to make sure that they provide proper protection and structure the relationship in a way that the person will not transition into an employee without you intending so, talk to us. I will be able to assist. License applies both to recruiting and staffing agencies and separately to each, which means that if you operate two of these operations, you will need to apply twice. You will need to pay two licensing fees. You will need to submit two separate letters of credit, so $50,000 that the bank will take from you and put it on a separate account where you do not have access to this money, most probably. So be careful if you operate both operations. The separate process is required for each of them. So what are our insights from all this process and the news that were introduced to the Employment Standards Act? First of all, unfortunately, this is another money grab by our government. Instead of introducing proper system of compliance, requirement of compliance documents, employment agreements, forms, policies and procedures that might have make your business more compliant and streamlined, the government concentrated its attention only on the licensing fees, a letter of credit, taking more money from the businesses, also to ensure that the employee is getting paid at the end of the day. But I think that the opportunity was much greater and the use was poorly performed. You must apply, really must apply before July 1st, 2024, unless government changes that deadline again. But July 1st, 2024 is already too late. Okay, so keep in mind the date June 30th, 2024, in order to be able to operate your business after you applied and before the license was approved. So as I already said, no license is required for the businesses outsourcing subcontractors operations. If you operate both types of operations, you have to apply twice, pay twice the fees, and provide two letters of credit. The new rules changed the way that the law applies, and now the law applies to the staffing agencies and to the clients separately, but at the same time, which means essentially under the new regulations, the clients are not allowed to use the services of unlicensed staffing agencies, which essentially closes this whole situation for both sides. you are not allowed to operate the staffing agency without a license, but the client also is not allowed to use your services unless you are licensed. So make sure you apply in order not to lose your clients when the time comes. And so all other rules that I already discussed in my previous video, the link is on the screen and I will put it in the description section below, remain the same. You must ensure that your documents comply with the Employment Standards Act, that you have a proper agreement that protects you and your interests, both with your employees and also a separate agreement with your clients. If you need our assistance, please give a call or contact me by email. I will help you preparing those agreements to keep your business protected, streamlined, and in compliance with the Employment Standards Act. That completes our today's presentation. Thank you for being with me, Eugene from CBES. My contact information is on the screen. Please do not forget to subscribe, like us if you like the video, leave your comments in the comment section below, propose new topics for the presentation, which I will do my best to accommodate. Thank you and see you next time with new presentations. Bye-bye.